There's absolutely nothing like when a punch lands on an opposition and you see the lights totally go out. I'm sorry I had to introduce you like that, but the reality is I'm going to show you exactly how you can gain that kind of power, that kind of control, and that kind of total cachet using kinetic linking. And I told you guys that we were going to get into it tonight. Now, what we did do is we decided that we were going to start a little bit later because a lot of you guys out there in the YouTube world, you like to tune in kind of late, but we wanted to bring you something that will give you more of the more hopeful feel when it comes down to sports science. And this is episode 3 of our sports science segment. And what we're going to do is give you a really deep behind the scenes look at what kinetic linking looks like when you see a guy who looks scrawny, but he knows exactly how to hit you in a way that you felt like you've been hit the moment that you wake up. So what if someone was able to tell you, I can teach you how to knock somebody out, and I can teach you how to put someone out of their misery with one punch? Yeah, that's what I'm about to teach you now. So welcome to Sports Science. I am your host, Eric A. Bradley, coach, that is, and we teach boxing. So what we're going to do is go directly into a video that we put together, and literally we pulled this down for you guys just to get a take of it. Now, we posted it yesterday, so some of you have probably seen this, but
the secret of boxing is known as kinetic linking.
Okay, so kinetic linking is understanding the science, and if any one of you have taken the time to learn about kinetic, please do so. Any of these sciences that go behind the science of movement, kinematics of human motion, please study it, because that's what I did at the beginning of my career. I wanted to learn the science of the human body, and then that helps you understand boxing at a much deeper level. So take a look. This is about 30 seconds.
A perfect flow of energy through the entire body. Motion capture shows that the punch starts not in the fist, but the feet. The rear foot drives backwards into the ground. Like links in a chain, the energy travels up the leg, twists through the hips, and into the large muscles of the back, chest, and shoulders. Like the coiling and cracking of a whip, the energy multiplies through leverage as it flows through the body, travels out the arm and fist, and snaps into the opponent. And yes, size does matter. The bigger the puncher, the more mass in the whiplash.
And if you don't match, and that's one of the most true but non-true statements, because when we talk about punch power, I'm going to break this segment here down into sections. When we talk about punch power, it's not necessarily meaning the size of the person in its overall makeup, like height and just width. We're talking about the tools that these guys have. So just for instance, when you go back to Ernie Shavers had tremendous size hands. So even if he was in there against Shaq, if he would have hit Shaq, Shaq would go out first. Because for one, Ernie Shavers knows how to hit. He can cut through bone with a punch. You have to understand another key thing that you got to look at when you're looking at a fighter is you got to pay attention to his shoulder girdle, meaning his girdle, because those are two big balls hanging on the end of his clavicle, and the clavicular stemocostal runs across the chest. And when those bowling balls sit up there like that, that is also what we call a dimension that most people aren't familiar with, the impact of what happens when you see a guy that has that kind of bowling ball on his connected to his clavicular stemocostal. See, these kind of telltale signs of a guy who packs a punch is exactly what he's talking about when he's saying the bigger they are. Because you saw Mike Tyson knock out guys like Jose Rebalta 6 times. Jose Rebalta was 6'6". Mike Tyson was 5'10" and a half, 5'11". Okay, so you got to really understand how to preface what they're saying. The guy's giving his best analogy and his best science, but the bottom line is you have to pay attention. Lower torso, the extra vertebrae, all of these things reek of the word bigger, bigger in areas, not just bigger in visibility or visual stature, but the power is something that can be generated due to the cost of something. Okay, so just remember that when you're looking at someone and you're just like, oh, he's too big. Like, no, but look down. I have the reach of a 6'7" person. All right, so that means it can be underestimated. Why do you think guys like when you look at Popo? Popo had crazy power. Diego Corrales was knocking guys out, blazing them. There are guys who have this unique ability to knock people out, and they can't figure out why. Archie Moore, wingspan, different kinds of power. Mike Tyson was explosive because of the trunk and the extensive torso. Long, look at Mike Tyson's torso. Look at Floyd Patterson. Long torsos, small in the girdle. So there's a lot of torque in the power, and that's what you'll learn in this segment when we go over not just power in the punch, but how do you develop combinations? How can you have the overall cachet to put that stuff together like pop, 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 pop? That's what we're going to get into. And I'm going to show you a segment from one of our training programs called Punch Pad for Pros, right? Well, this is actually off of the Peekaboo training program. Our Peekaboo program was, we have two. Volume 1, the first one is teaching you the base and all of the different ways to generate power and force and learn how to be aggressive the way the Peekaboo calls for it. Now, the difference is I didn't teach my fighters that they needed to fight with their feet squared up, because Peekaboo really is about that squared up life. The reason why I didn't is because we used a different version of creating angles. We don't do a lot of heavy duty hopping. What we did is step, slide around pivots, step, drop and roll pivots, side step pivots. So ours is off the pivot more than off of the hop, like Mike Tyson was. That takes too much energy. Hey, hats off to whoever can do that all night. I know I'm not trying to teach somebody how to do that all night. I want them to have lungs. And it's only, you can't train your body up for that level of conditioning. There's blood and there's oxygen. Well, if your muscles are sucking blood, there is not going to be any oxygen. So I don't care how hard you train at training camp. That's physics. All of that is all under the same rules as biology. Okay. X amount of blood, X amount of muscle, X amount of oxygen. Doesn't matter what you do at the gym. People have you guys believing, oh, well, you do this much more treadmill. Bruh, you don't get more blood, so there's no more oxygen. Think about it. Okay. All right. If anything, you're lighter on fight night. So how you do this when you put it together, we decided that we would create more of an angular things in our Peekaboo program. So, and the reason why I did it is because shit, I want my guys to be slick. I want them to get hit. I mean, I don't want them to get hit. I want them to always be on an angle, and I want them to always have a reason to move left or right, not just standing there doing like this, being a moving target, but to be a target, none at all. So our whole Slick Fighter program is about creating angles like a hybrid fighter. All right. So now when we break this down, what we're going to do is teach you how to put combinations together. And with that kinetic linking, what that's going to basically be is how we set it up where you guys are going to learn how we put our combinations together. So take a look at this. And I'm not just going to teach you, because I know it's a whole bunch of guys out here who think, oh, well, you know, this or that. That's fine. And I love the comments, good and bad, because every time somebody says something, good or bad, you know, it benefits us. Let's just say that. All right. So here's how you put it together in such a way. Oh, that's my boy, H Money. You boys got a big day coming up against Benavides. What's good, brother? It's good to see you, man. Welcome. This is my man, H Money. These boys got a big fight coming up. Special shouts out to you, brother. I can't wait to chop it up with you, man. So, like, here we go. This is out of the Peekaboo program. H Money, I'm gonna send you this, man. Y'all could use this right now. It won't adapt anything, but this is what we did to get our guys in a position to throw combinations. Now, I want you to pay attention. We're going to do pad training. We just put together a compilation of combinations. Boom, 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 boom. If you remember Sugar Ray Leonard, the flurry flow that he had, power on every shot, shots and volumes, that shit's a real thing. Let me pull this down while I say this, because I want to use this as a reel later. But when you throw those punches and combinations, what's going to happen is you're going to create high volumes of damage. But you have to know when to pull back, recover, so you can do it again. And what we call 3 cycles of that within a 5 to 6 minute period of time, what it's going to do to your opposition is it's going to bludgeon his recall. So his body's going to go into a recovery mode because you're doing the bludgeon thing to him. Cells have to regenerate. This is why my medical background benefited me, and my sports performance background benefited me, because I know things about the human body that a guy who can coach like hell, he wouldn't know this. He doesn't know the actual X's and O's of what's truly happening. He can say, yeah, if you hit him in the liver, he's going down. But he doesn't understand that the body shuts down organs to protect itself. All right. So, and then it goes into hyper takeover. All right. These are things that people don't understand. Why does a guy go down? But this is why. So when you do that, the body goes into total recovery. It's going into emergency. It's going into 911 zone. And so you want to do this. Everybody has to remember this. You want to do this 4 times. If you do 4 sets of the combinations, and trust me, guys like Archie Moore knew how to do this. He knew about this because he was more medical than he was a fighter. He was just more knowledgeable. And when you do that, the body by nature goes into fight or flight. Okay, it has to save the body. And when there's so much damage done, but remember, there's a base that you have to keep your oxygen levels under. And this is where the science comes in. And guys be talking that stuff, but they don't really know shit about real boxing, high level stuff. So here's the combination flow. But with the kinetic linking, you're going to learn the cumulative damage that each combination does. So pay close attention to the numbers that's going to be on the screen. And this is on our YouTube channel, this video. But pay attention and you're going to see the damage that each punch actually does. We're talking about real bodily damage. Exactly. Like really medical beat down. Your body just has to go into this shock mode. But check it out. Pay close attention and get your notepads out. This is real. You ain't going in no gym. They're going to tell you this. So check it out. It was over people's head when we put this out years ago. But I'm explaining it to you now, and I'm going to show you how the progressions of it benefited the fighter. With the last round. All right, check this out. I'm going to bounce out. Put some juice on. Now pay attention to the numbers when you see these combinations. I'm going to pass this. Now. Down. Punishing the body, increasing the cumulative damage on the sternum, kidney, solar plexus, 67 to 70% of damage. Then we start to cut the ring off with the backhand jab, the front hand jab, attacking, inflicting mental pressure on the opponent, cutting the ring off at the same time, and then inflicting maximum damage to the body. This is the Peekaboo Performance Program by Master Boxing. You see those percentages? You saw 32% damage combination. You saw the last combination. We showed you what 100% damage combination does. What that does is put the body in total fight or flight. And I know how to throw the punch. I know how to teach the fighter how to throw the punch. So it does that. See, I'm just not doing mitts when I'm doing mitts. So anyone who has our mitt series, you know, we are talking about something totally different. I'm talking about putting you in a bed that actually has a cover to the top. I'm talking about putting you out. And this is what we talk about kinetic linking. But now we're talking about understanding the body on an entirely different level. I study kinesiology. I've been in the medical field for over, like I said, I was doing that in the 90s. And what I did is I used it for my advantage of really understanding things, organs, you know, feather ribs, extended vertebrae, understanding what to look for when it comes down to people who got and throw power. And then I took a guy who was 1-4 as a fighter and made him a champion. And this was the fight after we did this camp. And one of the things that I tell you is when you know where to punch a guy, you don't have to swing hard. You don't have to burn energy. And this is what we did after we did this program. So this is the fight that we went to, and I'll walk you guys through it, and I'll talk you guys through it. And if you have any questions, keep them to your fucking self. No, I'm joking. If you have any questions, drop it down in the comment boxes. This is us on the way to the event after that camp. And like I said, this kid was a martial artist and we brought him over into boxing. Now look at the footwork, because I got to show you guys the footwork drill that we actually did to prepare him as well. So I'll give you a little sneak peek into that as well, because like I said, building a fighter is more to it than just holding up some pads and letting them spar. This is what it looked like after I'm going to show you the 10 seconds of the footwork drills.
If you want to transform your boxing skills. It all begins with your feet. Your footwork is the most important element when learning boxing and becoming a true pugilist inside the ring. The greatest experience you'll ever feel is the day you find your rhythm with your feet. Authentic footwork will be the reason you understand the boxing ring, moving with grace inside the squared circle. With these drills, you'll notice a difference from the moment you walk into the gym. You'll grin with assurance, head held high. Once you step into the ring, you'll display ring generalship and boxing artistry. This is the Masterful Footwork series that will transform how you experience the sweet science of boxing. You master creating angles you'll be able to attack at will. Take advantage of this knowledge and graduate into the big leagues and to finally become offensively calculated.
What he learned to do and what that was explaining to you is why we don't do a lot of hop side stuff. We create angles, and that series is called Walking the Floor, the ability, the masterful science of creating angles. So in that learning process, you're learning all of the methods to create angles. It's nothing like it on the planet, and everybody that has it, they know it. It's taking guys who've never taught boxing and it's helped them build champions. And that's happening now. So, you know, I don't even have to put the proof out there. That's all I fucking do all day, every day. So the bottom line is understanding this science. And why is it that this guy was able to come with a losing record and then come into boxing and he wasn't a boxer and create a knockout? And you're about to see it. We walk into the building. And we get prepped. And my objective is to make sure that the guys are prepped and they're unified and they're focused in the same manner they were when they were in the gym, when they went to fight their smokers. And this is George in a place right now where he earned his name after he did this fight. And like, it's so many layers to boxing that you guys don't know. And I'm going to keep you guys updated over here on our YouTube channel. Visibly, you see the official Master Boxing shirt. Now, what we're going to do there is we're going to go into the ring against a much longer guy. And of course, he was in a place where he hadn't boxed before against a real boxer. But what he's going to find out is his footwork actually did work. You see, this is their home. See, they knew that they was able to do what they wanted to do. Right before, we said, we're going to do what we do. We do what we do. So how we warmed up at the gym, that's how we warmed up at the fight. And we are ready. And we did what we call, this is that street shit. Okay. This ain't like what you see in the boxing ring. We call knuckle up. You see how they ball their fist up? Bam. Sidestep, hook right, good night. Look at how smooth that the punch lands. Don't let the smooth taste fool you though, right? Over here, sidestep, hook right, good night. And beautiful boxing looks beautiful when you do it. Beautiful boxing looks beautiful when you do it. It looks like you are becoming more like Fred Astaire. You're turning it into an absolute science because we're going against everything that man said. You need to hit hard. You need to do this. You need to do that. But when you understand the kinetic linking, you don't have to do what everybody says you have to do. You can do it how you want to do it. And I took a guy straight from MMA to the boxing ring and made him a champion and made him go defend his title over in the MMA world. And the thing about it is understanding that when you know this sport, you've been in this sport, you've done it for 4 decades, there's things that you can give the game. So I want to make sure that I'm giving you guys what I know in so many ways. So hopefully you will receive it. But when you're fighting and you can't hit hard and you can't get guys out of there, it's because you don't understand what you're doing. You're listening to too many people tell you that you got to do this and you got to do that. What you have to do is do one thing every single day the exact same way. Number one, you need to practice how to throw your combinations in the same manner that you saw us doing them on this video, talking about the combinations. These combinations, man, when you master them, work time. When you master these combinations,
on the sternum, kidney, solar plexus,
up jab, down jab,
to 70%.
that's a peck and poke. Peck and poke cuts the ring off so the guy can't get away. And then you start stinging them with these shots.
Inflicting mental pressure on the opponent, cutting the ring off at the same time.
Off to the side, you hit them directly to the sternum. That's a sternum beatdown. That right there is a 55% damage combination. It takes so much of your oxygen away. Like the guy can pretend that he ain't hurt and all that shit, but that motherfucker is in pain and his oxygen levels have depleted. I've coached in the NFL. I've coached in professional boxing. I've worked with over 9 Olympians, gold medal, and 2 silver, 1 bronze. And I'm going to tell you about oxygen levels because I've written 30 books on sports science and boxing. You have to know that if you do this right, there's nobody that can take away what you can do when you start understanding how to break the body down and deprive it of its oxygen. But power, it's only in your mind. You get it? It measures somewhere. And when you see these charts, this measuring, it's really being measured here. You get it? A lot of people don't understand that we hit you under the feather rib because that's going to puncture. That shit's so easy to break that Mike Tyson mastered it. He mastered it. And everybody that he fought, you can look this up on Google. Those first like 20 guys, all of them went to the hospital after the fight with broken feather ribs. Like, dude, we know stuff that we giving y'all. So I'm gonna teach you exactly what you need to do if you're about to get into some serious fucking fighting and you really need to learn. And excuse the fact that I love teaching and I get excited about boxing, but I have to come across as the professor. Because once you see these guys start to throw punches and bring heat, then you got to understand how your feet have to be placed when you're boxing. And that's why we created the whole footwork, because I've looked at Lomachenko. I looked at Mike Tyson. I looked at people like Archie Moore, and I looked at the people who use the outside of the ring like Floyd Mayweather. And I said, there's not been one person that could use the parameters of the ring, use the center of the ring, and fight off their back foot and fight off their front foot, just focusing on pecking and poking. And what you saw us doing there is pecking and poking. And that's how he knocked a grown man out in the boxing ring, pecking and poking. We proved that you don't need to throw so much energy into every punch. Hence is why we look at kinetic pulling as something that we are tying it to. Oh, let's say this is it. But that's not it, champ. Understand this. When you got guys like Canelo, and Canelo is focused on hitting you hard for his whole career, that's been his thing. Understanding better footwork, hence is the reason why he'd always have a hard time against somebody that's a mover and has the boxing IQ as someone like Floyd. If I was telling Canelo how to beat a Floyd, I say you're going to beat him with flurries, because anybody knows if you really in boxing and you've been around boxing professors your entire grown-up life, everybody knows that to beat the Philly shell is volume punching. But that doesn't mean you know how to do it, right? So therefore, hence is why I got my guys throwing combinations. Who's the best fighter you know right now? Who's the best fighter today in boxing? Don't matter what weight class. I want somebody to let me know, who do you think is the best fighter in boxing? And then I'm going to show you the journey of some of the greatest fighters and their journey. It's only going to take about 15 seconds. I'm going to show you guys. I want you guys in the comment box. Come on, chat. What's up, chat? Holla at me, chat. Let me know what's popping. Who is the best fighter? Period. Right now. I need to know exactly how good your boxing IQ is. I ain't gonna type another thing, and I ain't showing nothing else until I see people writing what they is, and then I'll show you exactly how this all came about, getting this money with throwing these hammers. I see a couple pop up. It ain't enough. If you watching, write it down, or I'm just gonna shut the stream off. I don't give a shit. It's on you. Okay, I see 3, 4. Somebody said Ryan Garcia. Okay. Let me see. Somebody said Tank. CJ, what's up, CJ? What's popping? It's all good, brother. It's all good. Warlock Boxing. Warlock, who's the best fighter today? Who's the best fighter today? And you know what? Paul, you do have a good point. Ryan Garcia can fight. I wouldn't even say that. Who's the best fighter today? You box Mr. Right. The drill. Who's the best fighter today? Right now. Like the really best fighter. I'm not talking about, don't pick a boxer. Don't tell me Shakur Stevens, because Shakur Stevens is a calculated boxer, meaning he fight in spots only. The best fighter is somebody like Linares, a guy who come in to fight the whole fight. I got to give it to Linares. Lomachenko, he's always throwing hands. People always looking for the smoke. Hybrids, people always looking for offense. They might have good defense, but they always looking for the smoke. A fighter, he will go in. And like Roach said about Tank, he said, Tank, yeah, everybody think he just can punch, but Tank can fucking fight. And I know because that's where we train. That's where my career was, in Baltimore. So I know what's up there. The DMV, it ain't nothing. It ain't a trifecta nowhere in this country that's like that. And I respect everywhere, but the reality is just real. It's just not anything like that. There's very few places on the planet that can produce that kind of that product with the hardship that Baltimore produces. And hardships is real. So it's real in Baltimore. Y'all don't even get it. Like, I don't care where you are. I done been everywhere and ain't nowhere like Baltimore. They were so bad that they tried to avoid it. They had to, that's why they took The Wire off the show that was on HBO. Yeah, that shit went, it topped Sopranos. Let me see who my man say. Between Crawford and who? Crawford and who? I see Crawford up there, but and Crawford is a fighter. He's a real, they say a boxer punch, but he's a real fighter. He comes to get the smoke. You don't see him getting on his back feet to survive. He coming to knock you out. So anytime a fighter is always looking for the knockout, then that's real. But when I take you back to this conversation, I'm gonna show you what it took for us to develop these systems, and then you're gonna understand how you get power using boxing, but applying the actual kinetic linking process. This is what it took for me. So I want you guys to take this serious. Let me see. Let me show you. I was trying to read what one of my guys was saying. Okay, so here we are right here. And so through this process, we were able to take guys through a process of understanding. We went and swept tournaments, man. We had 3 pro fighters at that time. This is the end of my run. I had stopped working with pros at that time under Coach Bradley, who you guys will see soon, who was under Coach Adams and really opened up the doors for me to see things that most people will never see. And so these guys went on a straight run. Coach Bradley did 11 at one time. And so this was us on the way. Donnell Holmes, who was in the back, was 32-0 at one time in his career and really got thrown some shit opportunities. They just tried to screw him. Don King was his, promoter, and Rashad came in and took the throne from there. And during this time, Antonio Margarita really messed up his eye with that plaster apparel that he used in Shane Mosley fight that he beat Cotto up with. So that ruined his career. But there's always a good ending. And that's my man, Julius. And Julius went on and just got into the Hall of Fame this year. What a beautiful story. But Julius deserved it. He's great. One of the most skilled people I've ever seen in boxing. And I mean, just absolutely crazy. And that's my man, Andre Durrell, who, of course, was an Olympic medalist and a champion in the sport of boxing, and besties with Clarissa Shields from Flint, Michigan, with Chris Berg, Clarissa Shields, his brother Anthony Durrell, all of that, and like the depth of that place, a whole movie should be done. And this was in my second title fight going to, and my boy John Butler was the other coach. And these great times, man. It was great times, but they were screwing us. And Coach Schulter, this journey took us to a place where we're able to aid other guys who are top. And Coach Schulter is absolutely highly skilled coach, working down in Miami and boxer, and just tremendous skills and teacher. And just to be able to help guys like that along the way, organize this stuff. This is one of the toughest training camps that we had ever had. I mean, I'm talking about, it was wall to wall killers in there. These are two of the heavyweights. We had just gotten ready for the Chris Bird fight. And I mean, this camp made me realize, and when we got there, as you seen me talking about Rashad was able to go and help Sean Porter win his first world title because Antonio Margarita messed up his eye. He had to just use his skills and what he learned and with us to get Sean Porter across the line, and Sean gave Rashad all of the credit. And so you guys are learning, it's just not about one step in this boxing game. And our programs help a coach make it into the freaking Olympics and coach. And this is what it takes to understand boxing. You get it? And then we built a program for coaches who run in boxing gyms. And this, my friend, is the advanced teachings that you got to learn about. We popping this up for Christmas, so y'all will be able to lock in and get that joint. But I'm telling you, man, we've been through so much in the past 4 decades. And I just want you guys to realize, when you're learning this thing, be patient. It's a lot for you to learn. And when you do this, you'll learn that this is the art of sparring. This is the art of sparring. This is what we brought it to the forefront. And those are the heads. Coach Bradley, my coach. This was back in 04 with Andre Ward, Andre Durrell, Estrada over here to my left. And these boys did it good. That was the last gold medal for a man in the Olympics. And that's when my book came out. 6-week training camp, co-signed by the legend. And here's the king of our lineage, Coach Kenny Adams. We sending prayers up for Coach Adams tonight. Coach Adams is ill. So we send our prayers to Coach Kenny Adams right now, that Father, you are going to bless him with a strong comeback, and that right now he's going to go into another phase of his life where he's going to touch people like he was able to touch us. Father God, please show mercy on Coach Adams, who sacrificed his entire life to teach people like me, Coach Bradley, and the other tens of thousands of people who've learned by watching him and seeing the champions that he's made, Father God. Today we pray for Coach Adams, that you lift him up and give him another chapter of life. These prayers I ask in Jesus' name. Amen. Because without you, Coach Adams, there would not have been me. There would not have been Coach Bradley. There would not been a George Benton. There had not been many, many other fighters and coaches to teach the sport of boxing like we've done for the past 4 decades, and those guys for the past century of boxing knowledge. So if you're a coach out there, or you're a fighter and you got a journey, just understand there's a science behind the science, and that science is humility, and that science is paying homage to the lineage and those that came before me. And with that, I say thank you for taking the time to watch us over here, and all of the people that are speaking on behalf of Coach Adams. We ask for you guys to bow your heads in a moment of silence and send your prayer, because the Lord hears all things. but it's he who has the last word, and it's in God's plan what happens next. Amen. Thank you, guys. Coach Bradley, I'm signing out. If you guys need help, continue to follow for more. We got you. Until next time, be blessed at God's speed. I love you guys. Subscribe and continue to follow for more. Peace.